season there. But let's dive back into Stanford specifically and look a little bit about at the impact freshmen that are going to see the field for the Cardinal this season. We've had a lot of departures, a few opt-outs. Stanford's roster needs some help, but the class of 2020 is here to do it. This class finished 21st nationally and 3rd in the Pac-12, according to 247sports.com. You got some top-end talent, you got some depth. But Daniel, who are going to be the most impactful Stanford freshmen in 2020?
And this is a tough one, right? We have a massive class coming in. 28 freshmen are coming in. That's ridiculous. Honestly, Stanford doesn't have classes that big. So that's going to be a lot. And this is a class that's had to get acclimated in a super weird way. They've had classroom time, they're calling it, right, on Zoom, where they're meeting with their coaches and they're going over plays. They're talking everything through. They're getting mentally engaged. But physically, I don't know if they're going to be there. They've had all the workouts through over the summer, everything on your own. So it's really going to be up to them. So that's what I'm going to look to for this stage, is who is motivated as a freshman, one, and two, which positions is there really in need at. And the first I'm going to look at is Myles Hinton. 5-star offensive tackle, played at Greater Atlanta Christian with the same program as Davis Mills. Really, really talented guy. And Stanford has talked about, the coaches have talked about this year, wanting to rotate a little bit more on the offensive line. They expect people to really push for playing time, whereas last year it was injuries pushing people into spots. This year it's going to be based on effort. It's going to be based on practice. Another guy I'm going to look at is Alakai Gilman, 4-star safety from Punahou, committed to Washington State originally, then came to Stanford, saw his tape, really great closing speed, and able to tackle in space. A little bit smaller, but I think especially at that safety position, there's a little bit of a need there for Stanford. And then of course, John Humphreys, 6'5", really, really talented wide receiver. David Shaw said he's the most underrated wide receiver in the nation. I think this guy's going to be really good. David Shaw compared him to his old teammate, Ed McCaffrey. This is going to be a very talented guy, and he's already had work in with Davis Mills. They were down in L.A., along with Bryce Farrell, another freshman, and a bunch of other older wide receivers working in the offseason. So he has a little bit of familiarity with his quarterback, and I expect him to be able to step in a little bit. But I do think that room is going to be crowded, that wide receiver room. So I don't think he'll be able to necessarily do as much as he could just because there's so many guys in front of him, but I do expect a lot out of him when he sees the field.
That he could bust out of that crowded wide receiver room is perhaps even wide receiver 1. I mean, I love a lot of the guys in that room already, like Semi Fehoko, like Michael Wilson, like Connor Weddington. I'm not saying John Humphreys is going to be the best of that group, but I certainly think he's going to challenge for that position, and he may be the top red zone target. We know David Shaw loves nothing more than throwing fades to tall, athletic wide receivers, and John Humphreys fits that. He could play the role of the next J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. We'll see if he's ready for that. I think over the course of his Cardinal career he will be, but I expect that he's going to be catching quite a few touchdowns in his true freshman season. And I think there's going to be a lot to go around, frankly, because Stanford should be throwing the ball quite a bit. Now, otherwise, you got to agree with Myles Hinton. He is the most talented recruit in Stanford's class, and we don't know for sure what that offensive line is going to look like. I think there's a lot of depth there, but he should break out of that crowded room as well. Because, frankly, when you got size like that, 6'6", 308, I mean, you can push people around, and I think you can really make your presence felt in a way that smaller offensive linemen can't. Other guy I'm looking at